Welcome guys to this another video. In today's video we want to look at how to evaluate some basic computation questions, and all the questions that we'll be exploring in this video were taken from the most recent CSEC math past papers. But before we get into the video guys, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button and click that notification bell to be notified whenever we post new videos. Now let us get right into the video. Now the first question that we'll be looking at in this video was taken from the January 2015 paper, and it goes like this: using a calculator or otherwise calculate the exact value of 12.8 squared minus 30 divided by 0.375 all in bracket. Now they did say using a calculator or otherwise, and for these questions they don't usually worth a whole lot, so you really want to use a calculator so you can get through these types of questions as fast as possible to maximize on the time that you'll be given to complete the entire paper 2 math exam. So I'm going to bring up my math calculator to the side right here. So there it is. And what we're going to do is to plug in what we have here, exactly how we are seeing it here. So start off with an open bracket. We have 12.8 close bracket. Then we have the square symbol here, and this is how we get the square symbol. Well, this is one way how to do it, right? Now another way how we could actually get the square symbol is to use this option right here. So we can either use this one as I did previously, or we can use this one. Now with this one, it allows you the privilege to actually choose your index, right? So you can plug in any value you want here. Because we're raising 12.8 to the power of 2, then we'll put a 2 in the box. However, as you can see, you can put any number you want in that slot right there, the index slot I'm going to call it, right? So before we proceed, if you continue to type, if you should put that minus sign right away, it will appear right exactly beside the power. We don't want it like that. That's not how it is here. So what we're going to do, so before we can actually type this minus symbol right here, we want to tap to the right, so that you can notice that the cursor actually moved. So now we can put our minus sign here, open bracket, 30, the division sign, and we have 0.375 close bracket. And now we want to check to ensure, because sometimes you may be doing it too fast, so you may make an error. So you want to ensure that you actually punch in exactly what is there, right? So that looks good. So we're going to press our equal sign here. Now what you would have noticed if you are using a calculator like this one, and I really recommend these types of calculator, and to know if these calculator will work similar to this one, you want to look for a calculator that has this symbol on it, right? So this symbol is actually the fraction symbol, right? Once the fraction symbol looks like this, then it is a decent calculator that you can use in the exam. Now this is how our result appeared. So what we want to do, we want to press this button here, which means from surd to decimal, and we'll get our result as a decimal. And as we are seeing here, this reads as 83.84, which is our answer. I'm just going to write that in. So it's 83.84. So this is pretty much the exact value for this algorithm right here. And so we'll proceed to our next question. Hi everyone, I'm the Morning Baker, alias Chris from the Chris Maths Academy YouTube channel, and I'm actually here to promote my CSEC online math classes to our Jamaican students. So if you're a student in Jamaica and you will be sitting the upcoming CSEC math exam, then of course you want to be a part of these classes. So the classes are held once per week, every Thursday from 5 to 7 p.m. The cost for each class is just $1,000, guys. So that's $1,000 for 2 hours. So it doesn't get any better than that. If you're interested and wish to be a part of these classes, you may give us a call or WhatsApp us at 876-423-7801. So that's 876-423-7801. You can also send us an email at the channel email, which is chrismathsacademy@gmail.com. So it's a channel name at gmail.com, and you should be seeing all these details on screen. I'm looking forward to see you guys in our next class. Until then, blessings and peace. Now we're looking at the question that was given on the June 2015 paper, and again it reads, using a calculator otherwise, determine the exact value of, in bracket here we have 4.14 divided by 5.75, all in bracket, plus in bracket here we have 1.62 squared. So again, they did say using a calculator. As I mentioned in the previous question, these questions usually don't have a whole lot of marks. They don't value a whole lot of marks, so you want to get through them as quickly as possible. So again, I'll bring up my calculator. So there we go, right? So again, we want to punch in this thing exactly how it appears. So open bracket, then we have 4.14 divided by 5.75, close bracket, we have an addition sign, open bracket, 1.62, close bracket, and again you can use either option to get the square, right? So if you choose this option, you'll have to put the 2 in here, right? If you use this option, it will automatically come up as a 2. Then we'll press our equal sign, and again, once it appears in fraction form, you can always press this button here, which is S to D, which is surge to decimal, and there we go. We have the exact value right here, which is 3.3444. So that's 3.3444, right? And that's pretty much the exact value for this algorithm right here. So our next question. So now we're still at the June 2015 paper. So they gave multiple questions like this one, and again we have the privilege of using our calculator. So I'm going to bring up the calculator once more, and there we go. And this one is pretty easy. So it's 2 times 3.142 times 1.25, and of course we can press the equal sign to get our result here, and again it appears in fraction form, so we want to press this button here so we can get the result as a decimal, which is 7.855, 7.855, and that's pretty much the exact value for this algorithm right here. So moving on to our next question, and again we're still at the June 2015 paper, and again we can use our calculator of course, and here we're required to find the value, the exact value that is, of the square root of 2.89 times the tangent of 45 degrees, right? And again they did say using a calculator, so I'm going to pull up my calculator here, and I'm going to plug this in as it appears, right? So the square root, and that's where you find the square root sign right there, square root of 2.89. Now if I should just go ahead and proceed and press the multiplication sign, which comes next, you'll notice that the square root sign is extended over the multiplication sign. However, that's not the case here, so we have to pay attention to that, right? So what we should have done is to actually press the right button here to go to the side a little, then we can now press the multiplication sign, and you can see the difference, that the square root symbol is no longer extended over the multiplication sign, and the tangent option here, the tangent button is here, TAN, and we can plug in the 45. There is no need to try to represent the degree symbol here. once you have tan of something, the calculator automatically interpret it as being an angle, right? So this is good enough, and this is pretty much what we have here. So we can go ahead and press the equal sign, and again we want to press convert from surds to decimal, so it's 1.7, right? So the exact value for this algorithm here is actually 1.7. So we're proceeding, moving on to our next question. Now our next question was given on the January 2016 paper, and the instruction is the same: using a calculator, otherwise determine the exact value of this algorithm here, open bracket, 3.6 plus the square root of 51.84, close bracket, divided by 3.75. And again, they did say using a calculator, so we are going to make full use of it. So there we go. And the good thing about these types of calculator, it actually allows you to plug in the algorithm exactly as how it appears here. So it looks pretty much the same. So it gives you a good idea if you're actually doing the correct thing. So it's 3.6 plus, have the square root sign here, 51.84. And again, we have to pay attention to this. If I should just go ahead and put the close bracket here, the close bracket, the square root sign rather, would have been extended over the close bracket, but that's not the case here. So we have to press the right option, and then we can go ahead and put the close bracket there. Next we have the division sign and 3.75. Once we have everything here, we can then go ahead and press the equal sign. Of course, from S to D, search the decimal. So the exact value for this algorithm would have been 2.88. So it's 2.88. Alright, and we'll proceed to our next question. Now this was the question given on the June 2016 paper relating to basic computations. So we have an open bracket, 2.86 plus 0.75, close bracket, plus 0.481 squared, right? And they ask us to give our answer correct to 2 decimal places. Again guys, though it didn't say using a calculator otherwise, the amount of mark the question is valued at tells you whether or not you can use the calculator or not. These questions usually value 1 or the most maybe 2 marks, because they ask you to represent the answer correct to 2 decimal places. Hence we can of course use our calculator to aid us in coming up with a solution for this algorithm. So there we go, we have our calculator up. So we can go ahead and punch in what we're seeing here. So it's open bracket, 2.86 plus 0.75, close bracket, plus 0.481 squared. Alright, we can go ahead and press our equal sign here. And remember guys, they did ask us to give our answer correct to 2 decimal places, right? So we'll actually want to stop with where we have 2 digits behind the decimal point, or to the right of the decimal point. So it's 3.84. We want to stop here. However, the digit that follows, the digit that would be in the 3rd decimal place, it impacts the value that will be here. So if the digit to the right of this digit here, which is 4, if it's 4 or less, then we'll keep the 4 right here. However, if it falls in the category of being 5 or greater, then we'll round up the 4 by 1. Hopefully that makes sense, right? And because this one here, it falls under the category of being 4 or less, then we'll keep this 4 right here. So therefore the answer to 2 decimal place would have been 3.84, right? 3.84. So that's our answer to 2 decimal place. And what you could actually do is to actually write out the exact value, and then you can proceed and write the answer to 2 decimal place. And in bracket you can actually put 2d.p, which means 2 decimal places. Now, just to add, guys, whilst I'm working these questions, these types of questions, the reason why I actually created this video is because I can use these types of questions to also aid in better learning how to use the calculator properly or effectively. Now, while we're working the question here, before the solutions appear on screen, what you could do every time I raise a new question going forward, you could pause the video, attempt the question, then resume the video and watch and see if what you would have done was the correct thing. All right. And another thing to add before I proceed is that this calculator, other calculator might operate differently from this one. However, I really like these calculators, so if you haven't yet purchased a calculator, I'll encourage you to purchase one like the one that is being used in this video. They are pretty great and user friendly. All right, so moving on to our next question. So now we're looking at the question that was given on the January 2017 paper, and it reads 5.47 minus the square root of 0.1014 divided by 1.5. All right, and again, these questions usually they don't worth a whole lot, so we can definitely use our calculator to help us. So we want to plug in this exactly how we see it. So it's 5.47 minus, and we'll have our square root sign here. Now, because we actually have a fraction underneath the square root sign, after we actually tap the square root option here, we want to press this fraction option here, right? And then we can plug in the digit or the numeral at the top, which is 0.1014. We can press the down arrow to go down and plug in the 1.5. And as you see here, you get what I'm saying, guys. It looks pretty similar to what we have here. It looks the same, right? So it gives you a good idea if you're actually doing the correct thing. So we can go ahead and press the equal sign, and we can then move from surds to decimal, and they realize that the solution is actually 5.21. So our result here is 5.21. And we'll proceed to the next question. Now we're looking at the June 2017 paper, and it reads, in the numerator we have in bracket 3.1 minus 1.15 all squared. In the denominator here we have 0.005, and again we can definitely use our calculator to help us out here, right? So there we go. So we have so again, because it's a fraction, you want to tap on the fraction option here. All right, and at the top we have an open bracket 3.1 minus 1.15 close bracket, and we square what's in the bracket. We go down and we have 0.005, and we can proceed, press the equal sign here and move from surds to decimal, and there it is. Our result, our solution is 760.5. So it's 760.5. So now we'll move to the next question. And our next question, it was taken from the January 2018 paper, and it reads 165 times 0.38 squared, and they want us to give the exact value. And again, we're going to use our calculator to aid us. So there we go. So it's 165 times 0.38 square. Right, you can press the equal sign here, move from surds to decimal, and this is our result here, 23.826. So that's 23.826, and that's pretty much our answer, and this is the exact value. Of course, we'll move on to our next question. Now we're still looking at the question that was given on the January 2018 paper, and it's a continuation from the question, the previous question. They want us to write the answer that would have gotten, which is this right here, recall 23.826. They want us to write it correct to 2 decimal places, right? 2 decimal places, which means we only want 2 digits to be to the right of the decimal point, right? Now we want to stop here, however we can't just write 23.82. Now whilst we want to stop where we have only 2 digits to the right of the decimal point, the digit to the right of the 2 here where we want to stop will impact whether or not we'll keep this 2 or round it up by 1. If this digit is 4 or less, we'll keep the 2. If it falls under the category of being 5 or greater, we'll round up the 2 by 1, of course. And most definitely 6 falls under the category of being 5 or greater. 6 is actually greater than 5, therefore we will round up this 2 here by 1. So our answer here would actually be 23.83. Now the second part asks us to write the digit to 3 significant figures, right? And the rule with significant figures is that all non-zero digits are significant. Therefore, we'll only rewrite the first 3 digits here. So it's 23.8, right? And of course, even with significant figure, the digit where we're going to stop at, we want to stop at the 8 because that's the third significant figure. We want to pay attention to the 2 right here. Now, of course, 2 falls under the category of being 4 or less. That's why I kept the 8. However, if it had fallen under the category of being 5 or greater, I would have rounded up the 8 by 1, which would have allowed us to have gotten 23.9 for our answer. And thirdly, guys, they ask us to write this numeral to the nearest whole number, right? Now, if we're going to write this to the nearest whole number, it means that we don't want any digit behind the decimal point, right? Or to the right of the decimal point, which means we want to stop here. However, if we're going to stop here, guys, we have to pay attention to the digit to the right. If this digit falls under the category of being 4 or less, we'll keep the 3. However, if this digit falls under the category of being 5 or greater, we'll round up the 3 by 1. And of course, 8 falls under the category of being 5 or greater because 8 is greater than 5. So we'll round up the 3 by 1, which will make it 24, right? So we'll round up the 3 by 1. The next number that follows 3 is, of course, 4, right? So there we go. I would have completed the question that was given on the January 2018 paper. So we'll move on to our next question. Now we're at the June 2018 paper, and the instruction is as the initial instructions. Using a calculator or otherwise, evaluate each of the following, giving your answers to 2 decimal places, right? And of course, guys, they did say using a calculator or otherwise, right? So we're going to make use of our calculator. So there it is. So we have here 73.18 minus 5.23 times 9.34. Press our equal sign here, and we'll have 24. This is our exact value. So it's 24.3318. But remember the instruction, guys. They want us to give our answer correct to 2 decimal places, which means we're going to stop where we have only 2 digits behind the decimal point or to the right of the decimal point. And if we're going to stop where we have 2 digits, we want to stop here. However, we got to pay attention to the next digit, which is the 1 here. And because it falls under the category of being 4 or less, we'll keep the 3. So our answer will be 24.33. And that's how we'll give our answer correct to 2 decimal places. Alright, hope this is making a whole lot of sense. So we're moving on to our next question. And we're still at the June 2018 paper. And the instruction will remain the same. So here we have 3.12 divided by 6.17 plus 1.12. So of course they did say using a calculator or otherwise, so we're going to make use of our calculator once more. So there it is. So I want to begin with our fraction option here. So at the top we have 3.12. Press the down arrow to go to the denominator, and we'll have 6.17. Go to the side a little bit, we have an addition sign, and we have 1.12. We can go ahead and press the equal sign. And of course they did ask us to write our answer correct to 2 decimal places. So we'll have 1.62. Want to stop here. However, this 5 here will help us determine whether or not we'll keep this 2 or round it up by 1. And of course the 5 here falls under the category of being 5 or greater. So we're going to round up the 2 by 1. Therefore our answer to 2 decimal places will actually be 1.63. So there we go, 1.63. And we're moving on to our next question. And now we're at the January 2019 paper, and here we have 3.8 times 102 plus 1.7 times 10 cubed. I want to give our answer in standard form, and of course we can use our calculator for the initial stages in solving this problem, of course. So we can punch in what we have here in our calculator. So it's 3.8 times 102, 102 that is, plus 1.7 times 10 cubed. Alright, can go ahead and press our equal sign. And here we have 1487.6. So 1487.6, and they want us to write this in standard form. Now the thing about standard form, guys, is that it allows you an easier way to write very small digits or very large digits, right? Now the thing about writing a numeral in standard form, guys, we only want 1 digit to the left of the decimal point, which means we're going to be moving this decimal point here until we only have 1 digit to the left of the decimal point. Now we only have 1 digit to the left of the decimal point, right? Now the digit to the left of the decimal point should actually be a number from 1 to 9, right? Can't be 0, and it can be, of course, if you have a number greater than 9, it would have more than 1 digit, of course, and we only want 1 digit to be on the left of the decimal point, and that 1 digit have to be 1. Can be from 1 right up to 9, of course, so it can be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9, right? Now to rewrite this, we'll end up having 1.4876. Now if you should leave it like this, then would have actually changed the value of this numeral right here, and that's not the intention, right? So it should have the same value. So what we're going to do is to multiply this by 10 raised to a power. Now that power is determined by the number of places that would have moved to the left in this particular instance, right? So we'll move the decimal point 1, 2, 3 places to the left. So our power here would have been 3. And that's pretty much how we actually rewrite this in standard form. So we'll move on to the next question. Now we're looking at the question from the June 2019 paper, and it reads, using a calculator or otherwise determine the exact value of 2.14 sine 75 degrees, and they want us to give our answer correct to 2 decimal places. And again, they did say using a calculator, so we're going to bring up our calculator here, and there we go. So we have 2.14 sine 75, and again, just like when we use the tan initially, you don't have to, there's no need to represent this degree symbol here. Once you're finding sine of something, of course the calculator reads it as sine of an angle, right? So all we have to do now is to press our equal sign, and there it is. So our exact value is 2.067081268, and they did say we should write this correct to 2 decimal places. So what we want to do, guys, we only need 2 digits to the right of the decimal point, or behind the decimal point, as I like to say. Now, which means we want to stop here. However, we have to pay attention to the 7. So this digit actually falls under the category of being 5 or greater, which means we are going to round up the 6 by 1. Therefore, our answer to 2 decimal place is actually 2.07. Right, so it's 2.07 to 2 decimal places. Right, so there we go. We're going to our next question, and here we're at, guys, and again we're going to use our calculator to aid us with this one, and there we go. So we want to use our fraction option here, and in our numerator we have 4.1 minus 1.252. In our denominator we have 0.005. We can press our equal sign here. We can move from S to D, search the decimal, and this is our result right here, 569.6. So it's 569.6, of course. And we'll be looking at our next question. Now we're at the January 2021 paper, and they want us to write the value of the cube root of 27 divided by 9 squared as a fraction in its lowest term. And of course, guys, this is where the calculator comes in once more. You don't need the calculator necessary for this one. However, it can really make life a whole lot easier for you. And as such, I'm going to show you how you can actually use the calculator to aid you in solving this one. So there we go. Now we have to pay attention, guys, first and foremost that we are working with a fraction here. So we want to click on our fraction tool right there, and next we want to represent this cube root symbol right here, right? So in representing this cube root symbol, this is what we're going to do here. This is it right here. This is a cube root symbol. I'm not sure if you guys can make it out 100%, but it is a cube root symbol. So we're going to press shift. In order to get the option at the top, we have to first press shift, and then we can press this option here. Now we get the cube root, right? If we hadn't pressed the shift option and just went ahead and pressed this, we'll get the square root option, of course. So that is the rationale behind touching the shift first, then we touch this right here to get the option at the top right here, right? And that applies for each of these. To get the option at the top, you have to first press the shift option. Now underneath the root symbol we have 27, so that takes care of the numerator, and in the denominator we have 9 squared, right? That's pretty much what we have right there. We can go ahead and press our equal sign, and this actually gives us the answer in its simplest form, the lowest term right away, right? So the answer right here is 1 divided by 27. Right, there we go. If we hadn't done that, then we'd have to do this on our own. So you'd have to know the cube root of 27, which is not necessarily a difficult thing, right? 9 squared. So the cube root of 27 is of course 3. 9 squared is 81. Of course 3. We can find the highest common factor for both these numbers. The highest common factor would be 3. So 3 can go into itself one time. 3 can go into 81 27 times, right? So this is the answer in its lowest term, right? And as you can see right there, the calculator would have done all of this for you. And you're looking at how many marks the question's valid, guys. If it's just 1 mark, then it doesn't require a whole lot of working to score those marks, right? So moving on to the next question. And now we're looking at the January 2022 paper, the question that was given related to basic computation. And the instruction is using a calculator, or otherwise they want us to find the exact value of this algorithm right here, right? And of course we're going to use our calculator to aid us. And here we have our calculator. So we're working with a fraction here, so I'm going to represent the fraction. Click on the fraction tool right there. In the numerator we have 8.9 plus 31.6. In the denominator we have 0.75 times 5.4. Alright, we can go ahead and press the equal sign, and the result is 10. That's a nice number, right? So it's just 10. Now in part B, they ask us to find the value of 3.9 tangent of 18 degrees correct to 1 decimal place. So it's 3.9 tangent 18 degrees, and again we don't have to represent, well, we're not going to represent the degree symbol here, right? So once we tap on the tangent option, they know that we're talking about an angle right there, so it automatically reads it as degrees. So go ahead and press the equal sign, and again they want us to represent this correct to 1 decimal place. So we only want 1 digit to the right, 4 behind the decimal point. So we want to stop at where the 2 is at right here. However, we're going to pay attention to the next digit to the right, which is a 6 here, and of course 6 falls under the category of being 5 or greater. So we're going to round up the 2 by 1. So our answer is actually 1.3. Alright, so it's 1.3. We're going to give our answer to 1 decimal place, of course. Moving on to our next question. And now we're at our final question in this video, our final set of questions. And this question was taken, or these questions were taken off the June 2022 paper. And this is the most recent paper at the time this video was actually created. So they asked us to use a calculator or otherwise to find the exact value of 8 divided by 0.4 cubed. And of course, guys, we're going to use our calculator to aid us with this one. So there we go. So it's a fraction. Use our fraction tool there. 8 in the denominator, we have 0.4 cube. Right? Can press our equal sign, and we have 125 for our answer here. So it's 125. And of course, our last question here, I want us to use a calculator otherwise to find the value of the square root of 26.8 minus 2.5 squared, and I want us to give this our answer correct to 2 decimal places. And of course, again, we're going to use our calculator, of course, to aid us in solving this one. So there we go. So we have a square root sign, 26.8 minus 2.5 square equal, and of course we can move from surds to decimal, and here we have minus 1.07, and we'll stop here because we want to give our answer correct to 2 decimal places. We're paying attention to this 3 here. It falls under the category of being 4 or less, so we'll keep the 7 right here. So our answer is actually negative 1.07. So it's negative 1.07, and this is correct to 2 decimal places, of course. So that's where we'll end this one, guys. Thank you for sticking with me to the end. I hope you find this video beneficial. The rationale behind creating this video is to help persons not only be able to carry out and solve these types of questions, but also help them to be better user of the calculator, of course. Remember, guys, to give this video a thumbs up if you hadn't done it already. Subscribe to the channel, of course. What are you waiting for? So all of this helps to grow the channel, guys. Other persons can see the content and benefit from it. And the goal of the channel is to reach as many students as possible so we can help improve the performance in mathematics. So this is where we'll end this one. Thanks for watching. Until next time, blessings and peace.